Want to introduce yourself?
Do you have to turn it on or is it on?
Oh, it's on already.
It's
Yeah.
on. Hi, I'm Emmanuel Angulo with Built-In Architecture and Planning. We're here to present 154 Valdivia Drive. This is a project that's been here before, but there was a switch with a designer. So this is our first time presenting the project. We are proposing a 110 square foot addition the to the main residence, and this is to include a one-car garage. There's also a ADU proposed on the second floor above the one-car garage, but obviously that's not part of the scope of this review. If we could go to page 6, we are proposing material change to that bottom portion. If you see, the existing has a wood paneling to the front of the house. We would be removing that and adding stucco just to unify that first level and sort of breaking up the second level of the paneling. We can also see the color materials. We are proposing a darker color to the bottom portion. It's that second one from the left. And we are also proposing the roof material to be matching the existing. That new car garage door would be that darker brown. And all other doors added on the side yard are that red color.
Can you summarize how it might have changed from the last? I realized that you weren't the designer on the last time, but we don't have those for reference. So
Yeah. So from the minutes we got, the main issue was the entrance part. If you go to the page 4, and it was sort of the comment was, what if that entrance area was enclosed? The only issue that the owner had was that window in the kitchen sink area. That's the only light that they really have in the kitchen. So if we enclose that area, it would reduce the amount of light into the kitchen.
okay.
So we did study that, and this was like our sort of trying to enclose it with the overhang of the ADU without fully enclosing it and still allowing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
You go back to the elevations showing that.
Is that our roof? Rooftop deck. Extending over the front door.
And the previous design, the ADU actually popped out all the way over the ADU. And in this case, we're pulling it back and providing that deck space. And that also reduces the amount of overhang that the ADU overhangs to the first floor.
Okay. Alex, if you want to take a look at this, we're on C1 and
Yeah, I saw it online. I have no questions now. Yeah.
and then you have your lighting on there. It looks night sky friendly. And there's no landscaping or site work proposed, correct? And I think
Okay. Yeah.
we'll give you approval in the normal agenda.
All right.
Thank you.
Anyone not here today? Besides everybody. Okay, thank you very much. We'll now call to order the S-Bar meeting of November 17th, 2023. Beginning with the public comment. If there's anyone from the public that would like to speak on an item that's not on the agenda for today, please raise your hand. We'll move on to the agenda status report. Jonathan, any changes?
We have received no changes to the agenda today.
Okay, item 3, the minutes. We have 2 to review. Do we have a quorum for show up?
We have a quorum for the
November 3rd.
we have a quorum for the November 2nd, or I'm sorry, November 3rd minutes, but until John gets here for the September 22nd, we would just need to wait for him.
So you're saying that. Let's start with November 3rd. A lot of several were carried over. So. Number 1 for November 3rd. I think item C, the last sentence, consider elimination of roof over master terrace. We could say why. No,
No, that was the.
yeah. So consider elimination of roof over master terrace to further. Yeah, to reduce mass of structure. Yeah. Say something about shading. Same thing.
I think it meant single. Comment. It was a comment designed to encourage the applicant to go with a single story project instead. But he didn't do that, and we accepted that. I think the item E needs to be removed.
That came up
It
again.
came
though.
up
I came up again?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, well then leave it.
Possible
Yeah, okay,
solution for.
or to take some of it.
okay, and then leave it, okay.
Yeah, but it should be instead of for single family dwelling,
One story.
for one story.
Uh,
Well, I guess it's all right.
How
How
about,
about for first floor?
how about that? To provide additional area to reduce size of second story. Is
Yeah.
that what we want? Yeah. Did you get, who's taking the minutes?
Joe,
Joe, do you hear that?
Yeah, yes, good morning. So this is comment E, and it's restudy placement of pool to provide additional area for ways to reduce size of second story
Yes. Okay, yes, thank,
element.
okay.
Great.
yep,
Did they remove the wings of the, above the garage or they kept,
wing.
They were still
they
there.
were still there? Okay, all right.
And that was another comment, new comment.
there. Okay. Anything else on number one?
Nope.
Yeah.
the fan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think on J, I think the problem with J was that the amount, the amount of mitigation oaks proposed was unrealistic. I think they proposed something like 15 new oaks.
Yeah.
And there was no room, there's room to maybe increase at 1 or 2. So that's,
Haley, would you mind turning on your mic?
Yeah, there's one in there.
Where is it?
Number J.
J. Board recommends use of fewer larger size mitigation oaks to be planted. I think it's correct, but I think we should be more emphatic because 15 mitigation trees is impossible in that site. There's no way.
You want to rephrase it?
Let's see, arborist.
I don't even know what you do.
We could just get rid of board recommends and just say use fewer larger size mitigation oaks.
Yeah. That's a definite.
Yes, I'm trying to figure out if the provide additional detail for how oaks construction. I don't know, I think maybe it just needs to be two separate comments, because the comment about the number of mitigation trees was a pretty separate conversation from providing the detail of how to protect the existing oaks.
Okay, so separate those.
Yeah, let's just separate them out.
So J would be first two sentences, and then the last sentence is the new K, and say provide additional detail for how existing oak trees or for how construction impacts to existing critical root zones will be protected, something like that. What do you think, Josh? Yeah. Okay, is that it for item number one?
So on 2B, is the loss of planters, should we say proposed loss of planters, or the planters have been gone already?
Well, they're still there. They're just dirt.
So then it should say proposed, because they are proposing to eliminate the planters, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
Study ways to mitigate proposed loss of planters.
Yeah, that's what I think, yeah.
Sure. Anything else on 2 or 3?
You know, I'd be.
That one.
So, excuse me, on three, C, all the windows, it says consider recessing or enlarging. It seems, is that what we said?
There was something about enlarging the window over the entry.
About garage and entry and north elevation, consider recessing or enlarging. Okay, if you think it's okay, then, okay,
It's a little vague, but I think he'll know what it was.
okay, all right.
Now,
Okay, I'm okay with 4, okay with 4? Yeah.
yep. 5, 6.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
The November 3rd minutes. Okay, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
I have to read.
Okay. What?
Motion carries 501.
Guessed, right?
Any guess?
I'm still making a guess.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, kind of guessed.
You need
what's
a-
Two.
going
Discriminatory.
on.
Your Wi-Fi. Tell your boss.
Okay,
I'm on the team too, man.
so
Big files we're downloading here.
I guess we're-
Actually help.
we're waiting on John then to review the minutes of September 22nd, right? Can we come
Yes,
back?
we're just waiting for John, so we could table the minutes till the end of the meeting.
Okay. Let's come back to that. And so we'll move on to item number 4, SBAR members informational briefings. I have to leave by noon. Hopefully we'll be done by then anyway.
Seems doable.
Anyone else? Comments, suggestions, observations? Okay, item 5, staff update.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Joe here, no update for me today.
It brings us to the consent agenda. Kaylee?
Item C1 was approved for final.
Preliminary and
wi-
final, yeah.
For preliminary and final with no comments
Okay,
as submitted.
So you make a motion to approve the,
Make a motion to approve.
second the motion.
all those in favor? Aye. All right, sir. Okay, great. That brings us to our standard agenda for the day. And let's start with item number 1. This is the RKKW Living Trust new single-family dwelling. Request of Eva Turinchok, agent for owners Whitney Cope, for preliminary and final approval of a new single-family residence and basement, garage, and detached accessory structure with landscape and hardscape located at 3981 Laguna Blanca Drive in Hope Ranch. We have our applicants here for this item. Please state your name for the record.
Yes, Dylan Henderson, Salt Architecture.
Dylan?
Colvin, Bosque Landscape Architecture.
And Kevin Capon, Salt Architecture.
Okay, we just have a few comments. A, nice project. Good. B, preliminary landscape proposal, acceptable, return with details such as species, size, and location. So it looks like you're in good shape. If you want to just run us through any changes that were made and through the landscape.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dylan Henderson, I don't know if we want my video on, but it's disabled. So I don't need you to see my face, but if you want to, you can turn on the video. But yeah.
It's intentional. No, I'm just
Okay.
kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So the big changes on this project was really, and I'm going to let Michaela jump in on this because a lot of the refinement was to the landscape plan. This has been through 3 rounds of ABR with Hope Ranch. And so they've seen this. One of the things that they were hoping to get clarification and approval on was roof material. So we have an acceptable roof material that ABR has signed off on. We actually have 2 options from 2 different companies that are extremely matte and, beautiful roof materials. So that was sort of one hurdle that we got through with ABR, which is great. The footprint of the house, the workshop, et cetera, has not changed. It's a 2901 square foot net house, 816 square foot garage, 337 on the workshop, with a 305 square foot basement. And so if we want to scroll through the materials here, we can do that. I think probably more appropriately is I'll turn this over to Michaela, have her walk you through the landscape, and then we can come back to the architecture if there's any questions from the board.
Yeah.
So Michaela, go ahead.
Okay, so a couple small changes that we have from the previous version. At the front entry, we have adjusted the walkway material to be concrete instead of decking, mostly because we we're looking at the retaining that we're going to need to do there, and we decided that concrete would be a better fit for that. Also in the back, we've kind of rearranged the concrete patios back there, but roughly the square footage is staying the same. So that's not going to change the permeable calcs at all. We have added planting to our, also we've included some renderings. So that's kind of helpful to kind of visualize what we're doing. This is the front entrance that you can see here with an aggregate concrete driveway. We have board form walls on either side of a wire mesh gate, 4 feet high. Then you can see the entrance there to the house with the concrete staircase and walkways. And then this is a view of the back of the residence, showing the staircases down to the workshop area and the spa deck that we've kind of tucked into the side of the hillside there. And then planting, we have added plants. We have 13 oaks added to the property to help with the mitigation that's required. And then mostly native and Mediterranean species. We're using, the Rhus integrifolia and Myrica californica to screen the property. So we have kind of a naturalized large shrub around the perimeter, and then grasses and some native shrubs throughout. Lighting, I think we had this included previously, but I'll review. Mostly concerned about safe passage lighting, so kind of have the minimum to get you around the property safely. And then we have some small downlights in some of the trees in the rear. And they're all low voltage and dark sky friendly. And then we're including the spa equipment specs showing that the noise level is going to be appropriate for where it's positioned on the property. And our standard Welo calcs, which work.
And where is the pool equipment?
It is, if you go back to the layout plan. So you can see it is, if you look at the workshop, it's to the right, that kind of beige box, it's inside the setback. Yeah, right there.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can continue. Is there anything else?
Nope, that kind of covers our changes.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Any questions from the board?
Can we see the details, the architectural details towards the end?
Yeah, if you scroll to the A71 series through the set, we'll show you the, we have a concealed gutter on the eave line that was, we looked at previously, some deck details, things like that. So,
okay.
yeah. So that's a great sheet to stop on. So if you see, I believe that's detail 4. I have to put my glasses on to see that. Yeah, detail 4. That's the sort of concealed gutter detail that we have on the outboard side. So we have bearing of 3 inches for all of our rafters. We have a essentially bird blocking rafter tail blocking closure, and then we have our eave gutter on the outside of that. So that's going to be a very clean line that we see on the outside of the house, which will work beautifully. And then we've got the parapet detail down at the workshop, which is, I can't see what number that is, but sort of center of the screen on the bottom. We have a Corten steel wrap going around the parapet wall that's going to have the green roof, the live roof. And so you'll see this rusted perimeter right above that workshop roof. So that'll be sort of a beautiful detail. To the right, you see how we're exiting the lamb's tongue down to an air gap or splash block, depending on civil. We do have a full civil plan on this that we can look at if you'd like. We've got the shingle details, bottom of column detail, top of column detail, trellis details, typical wall detail as you scroll up on the page. And so I'm happy to get to any of them if you have specific questions, but looking for a very clean detailing in terms of how these different elements come together, but not being overly, what I would say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And can you talk to us about your materials and the roofing that you mentioned?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go to the exterior materials sheet, it's A3.0, I believe. So the two materials that we got approved with ABR are both a dark charcoal color, and they're extremely matte. And so you see there in the upper left corner, there's a lot of different variations of metal roofs these days, and a lot of companies are coming out with extremely matte surfaces that have almost a stipple effect on them, but it's like it looks more like a sanded finish. I would have to actually bring you the sample so you could see it, because it's a little bit hard to describe, but the sanded finish on that standing seam metal panel makes it like an absolute color, like it absorbs a ton of the sunlight, and there's very, very low reflectivity. So during the ABR meetings, we had a dozen samples, honestly, from different companies that we were laying out in the sun, 3 p.m. on a sunny day, and looking at the reflectance. And so the color is still a dark charcoal, but the reflectance and the matte finish, I would actually have to hand you a sample for you to see it, but it has almost a sanded appearance to it. And it's sort of mind-blowing how matte it is, which is pretty exciting. So Steelscape is the name of the company that has come up with the most sort of matte finish. And then there's a company that makes all of the metal sales product. And Kevin, do you remember the name? Is that
Yeah, it's Western States Metals, and OBM is the actual coloring manufacturer, but the other approved color, it was the graphite by Steelscape, which you mentioned, Dylan, and then matte charcoal gray by Western States. And those are the two colors, two finishes that were approved and taken through Hope Ranch ABR.
Great, thank you.
So I'm just looking at the garage door. It looks gray on my computer and then tannish beige on the screen here.
So the reclaimed siding, which is the right picture in this view, which has some browns and some grays, that will be true reclaimed, not made to look reclaimed, ideally. And so that same material is going to be what's on the garage door. And so the finishes will all be the reclaimed barnwood.
Yeah, the culture. Okay, and then leads me to a question about is the driveway layout the same as it was originally?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it was moved uphill, Michaela, right? But that goes back a couple of meetings at this point, but we did move it up the hill per ABR's request from the original plans that were submitted.
Gotcha. Do you have a gate?
And I think at the most previous meeting, it was in this orientation, I think.
Okay. Do you have a gate detail?
We do not at the moment, but we do have the rendering. That's what we have at the moment.
Let me pull that up. I guess what I'm looking at is it looks like, you look straight into the site and it's a lot of driveway. I was just wondering if there's any way to mitigate that, like the upper, image. Be nice to somehow, I guess what I would say is encourage you to make that gate a little more opaque. I know that Hope Ranch has, I forget what the ratio is. 50. So I would push that envelope, at least go to 50%. So it's not, if it's the more open it is, the more concrete you see. And it's a big court that you see directly in from the street. So I was just going to encourage you to find ways to mitigate that expanse of hardscape.
Sure, to hide the driveway a little bit, so make the gate somewhat more solid while still fitting inside of those requirements for Hope Ranch.
I don't know what the height is that you're viewing this from, but it might want to increase in height a little bit, and that might help it as well. I don't know.
How tall is
It's 4 feet right now. It could go to 6, but 5 might be a good. Yeah. But there's a reason you went to 4. I'm just raising the awareness here.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that.
Okay. Any other questions? A public comment? Is there anyone? There isn't. So there's no one here and there's no one online. So we'll just go right into our comments and I'll just make that a comment. Consider, making the gate more opaque and raising the height to mitigate the large open expanse of concrete. Other question or comments from board members, anyone?
Make a positive one for the landscape. I think the screening solution with the varied native shrubs is a good solution for.
Okay, perfect.
I think we should make some positive comments. I think this is a very nice design, very well executed. So let's just say that for the record.
You had that nice project.
Thank you.
Great. So someone want to make a motions here for prelim and final?
I so move.
I'll second.
Okay, that was a tie. We're gonna give it to Val. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank
moving-
you.
Number 2, same design team for next door, 3979 Laguna Blanca. Last heard August 11th, and I'll just go ahead and read through the comments here. Nice architectural style, well cited. Provide details on integration of workshop into site and screening. Consider roof extension at doorway of workshop. Preliminary landscape proposal acceptable, return with detailed plans. Ensure protection of large oak at entry. Consider modifying the location of the entry walkway. And submit 3D drawings presented in the next submittal. So whenever you're ready.
Sure. So again, Dylan Henderson, Salt Architecture, and then Michaela and Kevin, you can introduce yourselves.
Kevin Capon with Salt Architecture here again.
And Michaela Colvin with Bosque Landscape Architecture.
Right. So lot 4, it seems like the order is a little bit out. You're on civil plans on lot 4. So if we can go to the architectural set, it'd be great. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Okay. So again, single story main house on this project, 3275 net house, 559 on the garage and 375 on the workshop. The majority of the comments again are going to be focused on the landscape side, but overall, the footprint of this house has not changed. We've sort of continued to massage the architecture, continuing to massage the mechanicals and where all these things sort of fit on this lot. Some of the comments from ABR, they've seen the project 3 times and did give us an approval. Some of the comments were related to thickening some of the walls where we have the true arched steel doors. Those are now 12-inch walls, so we'll have a nice deep return at each one of those doors. It's a combination of a steel and clad window and door package on this project. If you go to the next couple of pages, just a floor plan. So this project will have a true double stacks and a combination of double and single stack Spanish tile roofs. The layout hasn't changed significantly. If you keep going. And if you just get the floor plan of the main house, there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, perfect. So some of the refinements, you can see the thickening of the walls at those steel arch doors, thickening of the wall at the entry, sort of refining exterior patio materials with landscape, which Michaela will jump in on, coordinating back with mechanical. MEC from Santa Barbara is doing the mechanical on this, and just making sure that we have appropriate space for everything. And I think that's the majority of what I had sort of to highlight here. So I think I'll turn this over to Michaela, have her focus on landscape, and then we can come back on the architectural details after her presentation.
Okay. So if we could switch to, the layout plan. I'll go over the materials at the driveway, I believe changed from our previous plan. We now have the majority of the motor court is going to be the stone cobble, which you'll see in the image to the right. We have the stone paving walkway getting you to the front door and comment about the oak tree near that entry. We are using a boulder retaining wall to hold back the grade there, so trying to minimize the impact on that oak, but we're doing as small of a walkway as we can, but while still getting you to the front door. We also added a spa to this property, which you'll see in the upper right-hand corner. Inside the step back, small wood spa set into the deck. Another changes we have are on the planting front of this project. So if you go two sheets, I believe, below. We also have renderings, I keep forgetting. So here is the entry to the property. So you're sloping down slightly into the motor court, and we're trying to screen with large native screen shrubs and also oak trees at the front of this property to kind of shield that from the street. 3.5 foot wall and gate here that enclose the motor court. Here is a view from the interior. So you see we have some chip seal paving in front of the guest unit and the stone cobble. And this is the rear of the property, modest courtyard space with a water feature and a fireplace. And this is a view of the opposite side with a dining terrace with pergola, and the below image is of the terraced walls that we have going down the rear slope of the property to try and create some usable space for the owners. Here's our planting plan. So similar to the previous project, we're using mostly native and Mediterranean plants. We have the Rhus integrifolia, Myrica californica, and I think Rhamnus californica as the screen shrubs around the property. And we are planting some oak trees to the left side of that workshop to help with the future screening of that two-story building from the neighbor's property.
Yeah, and I did want to circle back on that. I'm going to go back to the elevations on the ADU, but Michaela, thanks for bringing that up. We've met with the neighbors on several occasions. She did come to all of the ABR meetings. She has issued a letter of support for the project, and there were changes to that workshop in order to satisfy the neighbor and the concerns that the neighbor have. So I'll circle back on that, but thank you for pointing out the additional screening, Michaela. So.
Yeah, and we do have a special note that will remain on the planting plan that those two trees and any shrubs going in that area are at minimum height when they're planted so that we can ensure instant screening for her.
Correction to my last comment, it is not an ADU, it is a workshop. I just misspoke on that, so I wanted to clarify.
Lighting for this property, we have kind of lights around the property for safe passage, as well as some downlights at the rear of the property in the trees. And then two downlights on the, or kind of sconce sort of downlights to mark your entry to the property. I think that about covers it. We have same spa equipment specs for this spa as well, which is inside the setback.
You have
Right, and if, yeah, go ahead.
street report for our oaks being, affected here. The one in the front, especially, was there mitigation for that? It looks like it's still pretty heavily impacted. I'm just wondering if there are oaks to be removed, and if you have an arborist.
We did have an arborist report. We were not required to mitigate any oaks, but we are adding some anyways.
Okay. So you want to look at
the impact to that oak is less than 20% of the root zone, so we're not required to mitigate. But we are, as Michaela pointed out, planting some regardless.
I have trouble believing that's 20%. Regrading and adding soil on top of it looks almost 50%, but Anyway, you want to move to details, you say?
Well, if you go back to the architectural set and go to page 11. Yeah, so this is the workshop. And so I don't know if you remember previously, but the workshop extended all the way to grid line G there. And so because we were enclosing the staircase. So in order to reduce mass and scale, provide further stepping along that elevation, we have sort of a ramp exterior wall that then goes to a ramped stairwell that then goes to the workshop facade. We've moved that back significantly from what it was previously. We unenclosed the staircase, so that's now an exterior staircase, which gives further breaking up of that elevation and provided additional screening per Michaela's comments. And so the neighbor was encouraged and happy about that. And I think it's a successful solution there. So just wanted to point that out. If you go to a 7.1 on this project, please. That'll get you to the exterior details, and we can stop here. I'm sorry, go back up just a little bit. We'll stay on the exterior materials. Is that A3?
A30, yeah, a little bit farther up. There you go.
Yeah. So you can see the proposed roof material, garage doors. You can see the stone that we're considering, the cobble at the motor court, some of the exterior tile that we're going to be proposing. Reclaim the timber on the backside, facing sort of the southeast patio. The timber is to be reclaimed, or if budget constraints will make it look reclaimed, but that is definitely the vibe that we're going for, is that lower left photo, just to give you context of what the smooth plaster finish will look like and what these trellis elements on the house will look and feel like, along with the center patio. If you go down to A71. Yeah, stopping there is fine. You can see, A71. Again, the details. So we've got our chimney cap detail. We've got our exterior kicker bracket detail to support those sort of kickers that we have on the exterior of the house at the garage and the entry. We have our trellis detail and sort of the purlins that we're contemplating there. Our exposed rafter tails that will have a TNG finish on the underside of the soffit with an exposed rafter tail with the copper round gutters being fastened directly to the face of that. And then, either stucco or combination thereof with stone if you go down to the next sheet. Here are sort of end wall at gable and edge of detail in between. Go to the next page, please. Next page, please. And these are our window and door details for plaster wraps back in, both at sill, jamb, and head. And so you can see that. And then what we're doing with our capstone, I have a 3-inch capstone that then goes to our stone on the exterior at the wainscot, essentially, sort of the base that wraps around the building, and how that all sort of works with each other. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Kevin, if I missed anything, jump in, but I think we covered it.
Okay, great, thanks. Questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a question. What would be a good page to look at the elevations or renderings? Something that shows the whole project.
If the landscape renderings were really very beautiful. If you go to
yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to look straight on elevations, that's the A3 series, starting at A3.0 and going to A31, 32, 33. So those are just straight on elevations if you want to see
and
that.
the perspectives, yeah. And the perspectives are in the landscape?
Yeah, we have a few on our cover sheet and on the second page. Kevin, can you give them the sheet number for that? I think it's number 2. For our perspective views.
Yeah. Hey, now you're in the landscape, so those are going to be the full series of views there. But in architectural sheets, yeah, we'll look at the first 2 sheets of our set for the views.
So we have those two views.
That one
If you
there.
go to,
Yeah, that
if you
one
go
there.
to the next.
No, that's good. That's good. So I just, Dylan, if somebody were to ask you, what is the style of this house? How would you answer that?
Yeah, it's sort of a transitional like a transitional Mediterranean, right? Because we have some Spanish elements, but we also didn't want to overly emphasize Spanish and Mediterranean details. So this is a transitional Spanish home that has a sort of a distinct new style. We're bringing in some of those reclaimed materials. We're not being overly specific to Spanish detailing, so we don't have ironwork over the windows and things like this because we're a bit more contemporary. So a little bit cleaner line, but still referencing some of those Spanish elements that we see on homes. So it's not overly representative of a historic style, but bringing forward some of the more contemporary finishes, a little cleaner.
Yeah, what is not really traditional is the steep roof with a two-piece mission tile. That is usually Spanish houses have a 4-on-12 roof. The Italians like to use a 5-on-12. But once you get steeper, they start looking a little bit awkward. It's a late comment. They should have said that maybe some time ago. But that's what looks a little bit off. Is that on those big round windows? I'm glad you went to 12 inches. I think it's good. I wish I pushed the windows as far back as possible because it's not really deep enough for that kind of look. Yeah, it's just a late comment, maybe something I should have addressed earlier. It's just that the steep roofs get, what's that again? Yeah, and I saw it in the details too. When you see something over 5-on-12 with Spanish style, it's just awkward. But it's I guess it's not that visible from. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, if you go back to the renderings for the landscape, I think it'll help. I appreciate the comment, Alex. I think it would be considered a pretty late comment at this point, right? So, but I understand what you're saying. I think that this will all blend very nicely, however, especially from the, that's the street view that you're getting. That's what you'll see.
Any other more questions? Okay. No questions. There's no one from the public here or online, so we'll just move right into comments. Mr. Peugeot.
I'm just gonna let it slide. I think it's just maybe next time. It's like Spanish houses have thick walls and low pitches, and
yes, sir.
But it's okay.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I, under discussion for a second before comments? Wanted to address. I had one concern about looking at this today. It's the trellises on sheet 0.1. I can't read the number. It looks like bottom right corner.
2 southeast perspective.
Just before we launch into anything, you don't look. I'm looking at a 3D model, so I want to relate this back to the detailing, right? Because we've got two different things happening there. One, trellis members are achieving like a little cantilever on the left side over the beam, and then the other ones seem to be rectified to it. And it might be the 3D model that's throwing me off, but it's the placement, it's the whole solution there in the trellis just looks really poorly done to me.
Well, if you go to the landscape renderings at the back elevation, I think that'll be a better view for you to look at.
Anyway, is a discussion not with the applicant necessarily, but
oh, sorry.
Well, I was wondering if that's a view that you would ever see, because it's not a,
Go and find that.
yeah, go back to that.
kind of why I want to bring it up to study it.
Yeah, because the combination of that low slope roof and the trellises and all those tall site walls feels not so good in that view.
I like the trellises it seems like the trellis are basically trying to get up there so they achieve a height above the window arch. And then they're being placed above the eave line of the roof. It's weird. Like usually when you have like a tall window like that, you put the trellis lower in the window, like, and you kind of create a transom above the trellis, so light comes into the room, and then below that, you stay, like, you see how that arch has a cross in it? I don't know where that cross is. It's probably should be around 6'8" or 7 feet to match the head heights of surrounding doors and windows, right? Wouldn't the trellis look more appropriate if it was lower? Or the one on the left doesn't bother me. The one on the right is just really not well conceived. That's my question. I don't know if it's something like, do we want to, hold things up over, but it's not. It's a really nice house and a nice project, and I really appreciate the presentation and the landscape and the care to the detailing, and the roofs are, you've kind of got this thing under control. It's just the trellis to me looks like it really interferes with the quality of what you've done, as far as I'm concerned. I know you want to get shade comfort there, but so in all due respect to the applicant, I'm just, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean,
there is something awkward. I just don't know what the solution is.
And I guess, Mr. Chairman, my comment could be, if we're going to approve the project today, then I'm probably just going to give advisement to the applicant to study a better solution on that. But once final's done, it's done. So if we're going to bring them back for anything on consent to tie this off, then I would put the only comment I would put forward is study the trellis and see if you can bring those two trellises into conformity with each other. One's higher, one's lower, both detailed a little bit the same, but differently. I don't know. Like the 3D model is a little jacked up. So on that, you can see the one on the left, the post and the beam aren't even connected.
What happens is that a lot is going on that elevation. You have it's very low slope built up roof, I guess, membrane roof. Then you have square top windows, round top windows, a high pitch roof in the center, and a low pitch roof on the right. But that goes, the eave goes lower than the arches. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm not sure what the solution is.
we see this on the plan, so we can check the location. I don't know if this is really seen from anywhere. But
I'll just add to the conversation. I think the beam, not having a beam returning back to the house is what's making it feel a little bit floating out there. I don't know if it would resolve the crossover with the windows, but do you want to just point to that for a second?
Yeah, so that's probably a good sheet to look at if you it was that overall site plan. If you go up a few.
that one or the
one more up. Yeah,
One more.
there. So right there. Oh, yeah. The photo views. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. So this is the only perception of this would be from down on the golf course, because this is tucked into the back corner of the house. Just for the record, I appreciate the comment about the trellis, and I can continue to study that and understand what your comment is. So,
I mean, trees also provide shade. That might be
yes.
Okay, why don't we just give this project a preliminary approval? They can submit to the building department. They can come back here on consent if you want for the trellises and for final. How is that? Does it make sense?
Well, let's get through
Yeah,
the rest of the
have-
comments.
I mean, unless there are other comments.
yeah, I have a few comments. Just again, I mean, you're so carefully executed and presented, and that's very much appreciated. And some of the photo renderings give a real feeling of how much hardscape there is, and that it'd be really good to try to keep working on reducing that. There's a tremendous amount of drivable area between the different parking areas, and then the number of site walls is a lot. And again, if you can look at ways to to reduce that. That rendering we were just looking at, that to me is part of the kind of busyness of that elevation of all those different roof pitches, the trellises, and then all the walls. It's a lot. So I agree that there's room for some study on those aspects before final.
I'll just piggyback on that while we're on this sheet, but this bottom image, you know, what are those 4 or 5
Yeah.
foot walls? And it's a lot of walls just to create a little walking path to get down towards the site. Those, you know, I don't know if those could be more like boulder walls and more.
Yeah, we
site.
did discuss that with the civil of the potential of creating boulder walls, but boulder walls have to be 2 to 3 feet high, so we would have even more walls than these 2 that we have on site. So we understand that you know, it looks like a lot, but it was kind of the minimum that we could do on the site in order to allow them to use, you know, their whole property and gain access to all of their property. So
The dry stack sandstone walls, yes, but boulders, you know, you could really naturalize this. It doesn't have to be a straight line of boulder walls. I mean, you can make it look really natural and still achieve, you know, push and pull here and there, and I think make that work.
okay, we'll take a look at that.
Did you want to add to that?
I was gonna have the same comment that I think it could be more of a, because it looks like the middle terrace is being used just mostly as a path, that there might be a way to study that where it meanders a little bit more to naturalize the terracing a little. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I mean, are those walls 4 and 5, 6 feet, or it's hard to tell from here, but it looks like it.
Yeah, 4 to 5.
5 feet, yeah. Right, any other comments?
What about the entry gate? Do you want to go to the rendering of the gate? I think it was.
Let's go up a few sheets to that rendering.
If Hope Ranch,
Oh, it was,
1.1.
oh, because it's a solid gate, but it's only 3.5.
Like what you were asking for the other property.
Yeah, right.
You should swap the gates.
Yeah, I think it's only 3.5 feet.
All right.
For this, so is that allowed?
Yeah, we went over this at our final review with Hope Ranch, and because it's 3.5 feet and the max gate you can have is, I believe, 7 feet, that counts as 50% coverage.
Okay, that's funny, yeah, makes sense.
Like it's kind of understated.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, anything else, comments? I don't have anything else, so if someone, Alex, did you want to make a motion?
We need to list the issues that I would like to revisit. I think I hear that there's a way to eliminate some of the landscaping or to reduce or find more planting pockets along the walls or something like that, right? Is that yeah, increase the landscape, reduce the hardscape. Yeah, I'm sorry. Is that what I said?
Yeah, there you go. Maybe zoom in on that plan.
Yeah. I was looking because the renderings are very good, you know, they're very, very good, but they do show some starkness in the hardscape that I wonder if it could be improved.
Are we talking mostly at the motor court area or?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we understand that. I think, you know, we're challenged with fitting, you know, all of the required parking spaces on the site, as well as allowing access to the driveway of both of the buildings on site. So, I mean, we can take a look at adding, kind of trying to get in some more planters. We do have, you know, vine pockets around the perimeter to try and greenify the walls there, but not seeing an immediate solution for reducing the hardscape in the motor court.
Yeah, I don't know, what is this? Is this like a DG court?
Mulch. If you go to the planting plan, you'll see that's all planted.
Okay, maybe that's
the front entry to the house.
That's adding to the perception maybe of the, and I'm still, while we're on this plan, I mean, that oak tree, there's, you know, that shows the canopy, but your critical root zone is this big. So there's no way that's only 20. It might be 20% of just hardscape, but all the grading that's happening within that critical root zone, that's 40% easy. So I curious to see who the arborist is and what the report says about that tree, but it still seems like you could start to move towards the front door a little sooner. Get a little bit, I mean, you know, not that extreme, but I don't think there were steps taken to address that oak. So beyond that, where were we headed?
The planting plan shows kind of plants versus hardscape a little more nicely.
And I see it in the renderings. If you go back to the renderings,
Hold on.
yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah.
Start with this.
Yeah, okay.
Just get a
Mhm.
image there. Yeah.
And they are extensively planting around the front of this. Look at that. I think I counted 12 oak trees. I mean, the thing is going to be screened.
Yeah. Okay.
I would say it's well screened, and they've got significant planting in front of these walls that is going to help to soften it all.
Which walls? You talking about in the southeast corner there?
Yeah,
The motor court walls, like here?
yeah, in the front.
Was that a question? Did not
Well,
enough
it sounded
screening?
like it was coming up as a comment, concern about the walls.
Oh, these walls. It's this, it's those walls and the. Yeah.
You know,
anyway.
I'd like to add that I think the space planning is very innovative. The indoor-outdoor concept, I think, will be very successful. And I've never seen it done this way, but I mean, I think it's a great way to do it. I think that the overall architecture is, you know, successful in a sense, but the flat roof seems like an addition to the existing buildings. But maybe that could be better integrated into the overall scheme. That'd be my comments.
Okay, any other comments or does someone want to make a motion?
Well, I guess I was in charge of making a motion, trying to figure out what are the areas that specifically. Let's go landscape wise. What would be the comment?
Study the rear terraces for a more organic solution. Probably worded awkwardly, but naturalistic solution.
This is regarding the retaining walls on the northwest of the property, right?
So I think that's southeast, isn't it?
Oh, wait, it's turned upside down? Oh, it's upside down, okay. On the southeast then, okay, yeah. Okay.
That's the only formal landscape comment.
Okay.
And the entry walk, I think is still, the oak and the entry walk is still a concern of mine.
But considering all the amount of the new oaks, and it's still that important. That
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's an existing beautiful oak from what I recall from the photos.
Okay.
Seems like there's enough room there to save that tree.
All right. Okay. So what's the comment there specifically?
Save the tree.
Minimize disturbance to oak critical root zone with by minimizing grading under the canopy.
Yeah, and it doesn't say if that's a permeable entry walk. I don't think it is, but
No.
it just says stone entry walk, but it's not.
So we have those two comments on landscaping. Okay, let's go now. Yeah, let's go now to the architecture and the trellises and see what we're doing there. If you go back to that, I think there was a in the architectural plans, they said 3D drawing there. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, let's go back. Yeah, this is good. So how do we want to word this? Joshua, Josh, looking at you. how about restudy the trellises in the what corner is this? This is the
Southeast.
southeast corner. To better integrate them into the architectural build, into the architecture in style and height. Right.
I would say look to combine the two trellises into one system. Like just this doesn't need to be entered in the notes. For example, you see the trellis members on the trellis on the right. I doubt if they're going to span that far without any intermediate support. It's the whole thing's ill-conceived. So it just needs a structural engineer to look at it and.
Okay, how about the comment like restudy the two trellises with a goal to combine them and integrate them better and integrate them into the building composition. Well,
combine with the natural structurally sound design. That's completely.
I would say, or consider an alternate solution for shading.
Yeah.
I want the comment to be in there's the trellises are improperly detailed. You can't do, that's not even a buildable structure.
The cantilever is too, the span is too long. Is that what you're saying? It's unrealistic. Yeah.
Span right here.
Yeah, the span is, appears unrealistic. Yeah. Anyway, so restudy the trellises or consider a different shading solution on the, this is the southeast patio, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the southeast patio, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, there is a beam here too, but it's not an attractive solution. Yeah, anyway, I think this comment stands.
Okay. All right, so that those are the two comments, right? Okay, so with that, I will make a motion for preliminary approval to the project to continue to the full board. Is that
second?
Full board or consent?
Ask the seconder.
Consent's fine with me.
Consent's fine.
Consent fine. Okay, I'm consent then.
Wait, so we have a first and a second. Any last minute? No, that was good enough last minute stuff. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. If preliminary, we'll see you back on consent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Item number 3, the Gabbert Barn, request of Brian Banks, agent for John Gabbert for preliminary and final approval of a new storage barn of 821 square feet. That's it. Okay. This is 3222 Toro Canyon Park Road. Do we have our applicant here? Please state your name for the record.
Morning. My name's Jeremy Roberts. I'm the architect with Mr. Gabbert, working with Mr. Gabbert on this revised barn.
Okay, thank you. We just have one comment from last time. 2 board members encourage the applicant to match barn to architecture of existing residents. So if you want to just walk us through any changes you made.
That was a great spot to start. We went back and looked at the barn again, brought the comments back to Mr. Gabbert. You can scroll all the way down to the last page. You'll see we've actually reduced the size of the barn. We went from 1,440 square feet down to 821 square feet. We are using the materials that I just set on or brought up there for the proposing those for the siding and the roof material. That is the previous applicant had talked about the Western States metal roofing. That is
that it?
It's matte finishes.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So that is the product we'd use for the roof, gutters, downspouts. The garage door and the windows on this project are clear anodized aluminum to match the windows and doors of the house. Mr. Gabbert actually went back and got with his maintenance person, and they've laid out the interior so we know where every shovel, every rake, every hoe, so it's much tighter, and that's why it got so much smaller. Well, we were working with that modular barn system. and it kind of drove the size. And we went back and looked at it again after the comments from the board and let function of the inside kind of drive shape and size of the building. That is the conclusion of my presentation.
Fantastic. Thank you. Questions from the board?
Just one question. So the house has this anodized, aluminum windows, is that right? And you don't want to go into with dark color windows, no? Because it's close to the house, or?
This is further away from the house. We actually have the garage door. So we were going to just use.
Continue.
And tie it back to the house.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have a question that is a little irrelevant because I don't think this is visible from the street, but I feel like the constraint on this vertical fabricated siding is always the length of the stick. Are you able to get them long enough that you can make it all the way to the peak, or you have to have a seam?
I think with this company, we can get them long enough. And if we can't, I've done a detail where they actually finger joint them together.
Oh, cool.
And so it's not, I don't have that zigzag.
Yeah.
pattern. So I think with that product, I can get the links tall enough to get that highest ridge.
Any other questions? Okay, public comment. See no one. Comments from the board?
I think it looks very good,
Yes.
Dennis.
opposed to just nice.
So this is here for prelim and final.
Well, if there's no other comment,
I got that going for me, exactly. With that.
Want to go ahead and make a motion, Val?
yeah, I could make a motion. I'll make a very good and nice one for preliminary and final approval as submitted.
Second the motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Happy Friday.
Thanks.
Next Friday.
Item number 4, Reagan Family Trust Edition, request of Chris Cottrell, agent for Zed and Peggy Reagan, for final approval of a new detached garage, conversion of existing garage to habitable space, dining room addition, validation, relocation of as-built shed, and serve the existing, yeah. This is 710 La Buena Tierra in Goleta, and we have our applicant here. Sir, please state your name for the record.
This is crazy. Chris Cottrell, architect.
Don't be nervous.
Watch yourself.
We had,
Serious now.
we've seen this a couple times, 3 times, so we're down to 2 comments. Applicant to verify if parking is allowed in front setback and restudy parking area in southwest corner to ensure everything proposed meets code. Consider parallel parking as an option. So you want to walk us through?
Yeah, I think the 2 changes we have are Aaron Carroll is now doing the landscape. So you'll see a little more detailed landscape plan coming up. And then the other thing is that garage, we dropped a foot. So it's a foot lower than it was last time you saw it. One of the questions was about the trash on that northern little pull in there. That used to be a drive-through driveway. They're just keeping their cans. There's no enclosure and there's no planning issue with cans in a setback. Enclosures are more problematic in the setback, but these are just cans.
So they're not doing any parking there then?
No, it's no parking.
Okay.
No, it's just trash.
And but that's a new development, right? They were parking there before, yeah? It was a drive-through?
No, a long time ago, it was a drive-through. That little green chunk is what we're taking that pavement out and planting that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's get to there you go.
I just have a quick question. Is there enough distance between the proposed garage and the other structure? Like how far apart? They just look really close together, but are they?
It's like at least 10 feet.
Yeah.
10 feet, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the pickleball court kind of drives where that other structure goes.
Can you zoom in on that plant list? You guys all good with all that? Okay, anything else?
Yeah, one other item to look at is a front entry gate. They're doing a kind of a sandstone, 2 columns, and then a wood entry gate that's on that last page of details, I think.
Cool. All right, questions? Okay, no public comment, nobody around. Comments from the board. This is again here for final.
Motion for final approval.
Okay, so we have first for final approval. Do we have a second? Second by Val.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like we've run out of applicants. So item number 5 is the raw land development, a new single-family dwelling. And I don't see anybody. We waited for these guys last time too. Yeah, so is there anyone here for item number 5 or item number 6? Pierce. Aha. Okay, this is item number 6, the Pierce Garage, request of Florence Carl, agent for Thomas Pierce, for conceptual review of a new garage addition of 607 square feet located at 570 Rhonda Drive in G-Town. Your name for the record, sir?
Adam Grosshans, architect.
Thank you, Adam. Just a quick presentation here. I think looks pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So the house itself, used to be a shared living facility almost, and then a family bought it. And so under a separate permit, we're doing a whole interior renovation to it. The garage, the original garage, which is on like the south of the property on the aerial, was converted into living space. So there's no current garage for the family. And so under this application, we're proposing a garage, and then they also want to do an ADU above it, and so that's what we're doing today. Or a garage with an ADU.
Site plan. Which of these photos shows
These are
what the
photos. So like we're that beige house. Is there a laser pointer? Okay. All right. Yeah. So. Oh, sure.
Go back to the photos?
Yeah, go back to the photos.
Here's a wireless mic.
It's kind of echo too. So basically they're sort of just parking in this area. And so our proposal is to do an addition of a garage here to sort of have this symmetry of the U the U there. And so that's the area there. And then the entry to the house is in this sort of center courtyard. So we want to like frame it with that. But basically that's the house just needs some loving and repair. But that's basically the house there. Yeah, let's look at the site plan as well. It'll be a little easier to look at. Okay. So this is the existing house, and this is the proposed addition, front setback. We're basically going to sink the garage down a foot and a half, so that the slope going up to it is not as steep. But next slide. So yeah, this is the floor plan for the house. So a proposed garage, 2-car garage, access to the house, and then ADU access on the side yard. Scroll down. And then this is the ADU plan for the second story, and then the next slides are the elevations. Yes, it's the second story ADU.
And the floor, the roof of the house go continues like that?
No,
Or
it should, I saw that too. That should, the gate, we're gonna make that, hip go to,
a gable?
and die into the house, yeah.
Mhm.
You go to the elevations.
Is that up against the side setback?
Yes, it's up against the front setback, the side setback, let's go to go back to the site plan real quick. Just to double check.
Keep going.
Keep going, one more, okay, right there.
That's not shown,
It's not showing the setback.
but probably,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, we're pretty close.
I guess what I'm looking at is the front door kind of gets hidden.
Yeah, the front door is already kind of hidden. It's in the center kind of courtyard area.
Okay. We can go back down to where we were,
To the elevation.
elevations. You have elevations showing the whole structure or just the
Just this right now.
area?
Apparently.
We should probably bring that next time. Well then.
Yeah, I think that's problematic for me, that we're seeing this two-story structure. We're not reviewing the ADU, but it's being added onto the very front of a one-story house. So we need to see the context of complete elevations.
Yeah. You may want to show very lightly the ADU, but we'd like to see if the garage and how it fits in the house. That's our purview. Apparently, the ADU is out of our purview. So, but we would like to see how the house is integrated. The new garage, it happens to be right in the front, right on the setback. So, it's
Yeah, this is an interesting challenge because in Eastern Goleta design guidelines, you're not supposed to be side loaded and you're not supposed to stick a two-story in the front of your building. ADU adds an element that shows that to the winds, but I think that's weird.
Yeah, also I'm looking at I might have missed this because I was talking, but the height of the garage, it looks miniature. It looks like it's 5 feet high. On the south elevation.
Yeah, so
Garage door.
what's the plate height at the garage?
Is that for go-karts or? I mean, is it?
Like there was some, I was but no, the garage itself is actually sunk down.
Oh, right, okay.
So I think.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So the garage is 8 feet or 8.6 or something like that, or the plate height?
Oh, the plate height for the garage?
Yes. Nine feet inside? Okay, and then the joist and then the ADU, okay. Yeah, so I think that my first comment would be, well, try to reduce the height of the garage by, if you start at 8.4, 8.6, something like that, it would be it would be a better setup. And I'd like to see the full elevations.
Okay, any other questions?
Is there any landscape?
No, when I come back, I'll escape. Just want to get feedback on the garage.
Okay, no other questions then. There's no public comment. So just move right into our comments, which we've already kind of done, but you want to sum those up or Joe, do you have what you need? Sounds like show full elevations. What were the other comments about? The other comments? Just summing this up.
I don't think are those awnings part of the roof structure, Adam?
Yeah, on the ADU or the.
Yeah, on the ADU.
Can't see those.
I'm not afraid. I think that interpretation is flawed. We're not going to deny you from having an ADU, nor would we deny you from having solar panels, but we can talk about it. So what's going on? Is that part of the roof?
Yeah.
Okay, I just couldn't tell from here if they're added like elements of detailing, but they're part of the roof structure folding down, right?
Yeah, they have like little outriggers.
Okay. Yeah, if that's the case, I'm fine with them. But if they weren't, I might make a comment about it because I'm just going to do that on it. I'm afraid of ADUs.
So I think the comments are the height, Mr. Chair, the comments are the height of the the garage.
Yeah, but I guess it's sunk down.
Yeah, but it's not drawn correctly, right?
Provide better documentation.
So does this, does the driveway kind of come in down like that?
No, the driveway goes up. So right now it's a very steep driveway. To get, on level with
Yeah.
the finished floor of the house, and that's where they're parking right now. So to get the driveway to be less steep.
So, yeah,
This
so
looks
they,
like-
So then we really do need to understand the landscape and the changes to the site.
comment would be to bring complete plans showing the grades and the rest of the elevations to minimize the garage height. I think those are the two comments I have. Anything else?
Well, look for ways to screen the changes that you're making. To me, this is really an interesting problem because everybody in Goleta worries about having a difficult time having their project approved because it will be considered side-loaded if they just add over the garage. So now everyone will come in with an ADU over their garage, and then that design element is just ignored.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
can I get clarification from the planning staff on this? Like, I don't believe that our hands are completely tied. We're in a position where we have to allow for the ADU, but I don't think that bars us from advising the client or the applicants on good design practices to achieve what they want.
Yeah, I don't think making suggestions is an issue.
Like, you could say,
Mr. Chair, I'm happy to weigh in here real quick. So the only reason why the project is at the board is because of the garage addition. So most ADU projects would not be even seen by the BAR. It doesn't preclude you from making suggestions to an applicant, but we would not include any of those comments as comments in the minutes or require them as part of the review of their project because the scope that's being reviewed is simply the garage, not the ADU.
Yeah, I think we understand that, but what happens when the next applicant comes in and uses this as an example of why the discussion of side loading and all of that should be applied to them?
I agree that is a potentially problematic issue that's been created by state law, but we are precluded by state law from requiring specific standards like that in the Eastern Goleta Valley Community Plan on ADUs. So it's just simply the regulatory framework that we find ourselves in.
Right, but ADUs that are one story, of course, don't have that kind of impact and aren't seen by anybody like us. So because of the garage being underneath it, it causes the discussion.
Correct, but the ADU is not subject to your review. So it is simply the garage that you're looking at. So you have to look at it as if the ADU almost doesn't even exist. It's just the garage.
we can make suggestions on how to make the ADU work, right? Just can't.
You can make suggestions, but the applicant could ignore them.
Really? So you're saying the applicant can create a 50-story ADU if they wanted to? I don't think so.
No, the applicant is subject to all of these standards that are included in the County Land Use and Development Code. However, that is not reviewed by the BAR. So county staff evaluates whether or not the ADU meets the criteria in the zoning code for the ADU, but it just simply doesn't get reviewed by VAR.
So explain to me how this works. So if I'm looking at this constructively to try and make it a better compliant project with the Eastern Goleta Valley guidelines for design, there's probably not much I can do to alleviate the side loading, because basically we're going to allow an applicant to take a one-story house and pop a two-story element right in one portion of it, and that creates a side loading condition. So one of the ways that we can ameliorate that is to ask the applicant to step the along the property line there where the garage is facing the street. We could say, hey, could you step the ADU back a couple feet from the face of the garage so that you create a more appropriate stepped condition, so that the elevation facing the street isn't one unified wall, that there's like the second story steps back from the first story and reduces the impact of this two-story element facing into the street. And that would create a more pleasing design, or pull, you know, like you can't really pull the garage forward any further because he's on the setback. So that would be the solution. How would we achieve that without, I guess, based on the guidelines and the constraints we have, how would we best make that comment productively?
Right. So I think your approach that you're going for now is probably the best way to do that. I mean, you can see that the ADU is shown on the plans, and so it's a discussion with the applicant, and they could either take that comment or they could ignore it. And as long as it meets the code requirements, we would approve it as is.
It's not going to get you anywhere because they would just ignore it. It's going to be more expensive that way. So why would anybody do that?
Well, I know Adam's a cool guy. Might do something about it.
Find a good solution. Okay, also comment or question real quick. This is existing, right? But you're bringing it down. So basically we need an existing site plan and a proposed site plan also, and existing topos, new topos. You get the picture.
I have a question. What happened to the existing garage?
At some point, this was before the family that's currently living in here, this was like an assisted living facility. And so the original garage is where it was basically behind where the proposed garage. That was converted into like laundry room and offices kind of.
See, but with the permit?
Yeah, it's all permitted.
The conversion of the existing garage, of the previous garage is legalized?
Yeah, it's legalized as like, it's like a 6-bedroom house. Like,
so it's legalized, the conversion is legalized, okay. So the second question is, how big are garages are required to be? This is a 600, it's wider, that's why it has a bigger impact. Is that it's basically they're proposing a 3-car garage, the size of a 3-car garage, not that they really, because they want to make it a bigger ADU above. So the question is, what is the standard size of the garage, or the required size of the garage? That's a question to staff. Sorry, yeah.
Go down because there's other things in there, storage and whatnot, right? Staircase.
Yeah, the staircase can be outside. It can be an outdoor staircase that will make the elevation more pleasant.
Mr. Chair, I think the question's for Joe again. What are the county standards for garage design? I think people get confused because the Santa Barbara City regulations are quite stringent, but I don't believe they have the same parking requirements in Goleta.
So I'm sorry, what exactly was the question? It's related to just design standards for garages.
Goleta has its own standard for garages. It's different than the city of Santa Barbara, and oftentimes people get confused because Santa Barbara has very exacting requirements. But can you review with us what the design requirements are for garages in Goleta? Like, is there a limitation on dimension, or is there a requirement for off-street covered parking?
Just off the top of my head, I do not believe there's any requirement in Goleta for off-street covered parking. That's, we do have that requirement in Montecito, but that's not something that's required in Goleta. We don't also have requirements for dimensions of garages, but we do have requirements for dimensions of parking spaces. So if the garage is being utilized as the required parking to meet the standard required parking spaces, we would just have to confirm that it meets those minimum dimensions for the spaces.
All right, so that would be a comment for the applicant, is to come back with, define where the designated parking spaces are on the property, and then indicate how they work and comply with the standards that Joe's referring to.
Okay, where are we? Comments?
I have a comment on it. I think that the way that those storage units stick into that, now you've created kind of like a courtyard space. Could you maybe zoom out a little bit on it, please? I think if there's any way to reduce that, which is maybe what we're getting at, that it's gonna make that space not feel like it's hemmed in by the way you're adding this garage into there. So I would suggest studying how that interior courtyard space is gonna be used, because you're eating up the whole front yard with the garage, and so.
Could that storage be here underneath the staircase, maybe? Some of it at least, and also I guess just confirm that this is your side yard setback, because you could flip it to the other side and it would be a better addition, right?
Yeah. Sure, I'm on
Pretty sure it is, but
setback.
yeah. Okay, so anyway, I think you know where to go from here.
So comment seems to be the garage is too large. Because it's basically undermining the front elevation and the open space in the front yard.
Yeah, of course, then if you reduce the garage, let's say you eliminate the storage, then you're just gonna have unbroken 2-story all the way around, whereas at least this helps to down a little bit.
Look at the elevation. It's not broken, is it? I guess it is broken. Yeah, it is broken. Yeah. It is broken, yeah.
It's not assisted living anymore, right?
No, it's a private family.
I guess it is.
No, it is, it's unbroken.
No, it's broken. Like here.
On the inside, it's broken, I see.
That little thing maybe helps. Still confused by the garage door.
Yeah, well.
So the trellis hat added.
Yeah, so is the actual bottom of where the garage door, is it down here?
No.
Why does this look so short? I don't know.
We'll take.
Okay, anyway.
I think too, yeah, need to remove the finished floor lines so that you can see that maybe that trellis thing needs to, the eyebrow needs to go quite a bit higher to help that big wall.
It's the,
I think we
Mr. Chair, can we just have Joe read back a comment so we know? Also, that square window is kind of weird, but yeah, it's actually okay.
Yeah, so Joe, can you just read back comments real quick?
Sure. Okay. Starting with 1, garage is too large. Minimize garage height and study ways to pull in storage areas to reduce encroachment to interior courtyard.
Chair, can we have one more? Sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
Finish, please. Sorry. Interrupting.
Okay. Bring complete plans demonstrating existing and proposed site topography and additions.
Hardscape.
And hardscape.
Planting.
And planting.
And
landscape, let's say, yeah.
I'd like to add
land.
Sure.
And then there's 3 more I have. So return with full elevations showing how garage integrates with existing structure. I also have return with landscape plan, and then I have show required parking spaces on site plan and demonstrate that they meet minimum size requirements per code.
Okay, and Josh?
I want to add a comment, Joe. Study ways to break up the two-story elevation. Consider pushing back the second story to create a more pleasing street elevation by using what is that called? No, Karen can still make a comment. Yeah, it's a suggestion. Why not?
Because we're not allowed. We can make the comment to the applicant. But the comment will not go on the record.
Studying that could be done by affecting the garage.
The first part of your,
You can actually do that without touching the, you can actually redo the project in a different way where the garage comes forward of the ADU. So I'm talking about the garage, technically. If you want to play this weird game,
and I think
I'm going to be weird about my comment, like study ways to have the garage move forward from the ADU that we cannot talk about or discuss or look at or think about.
I think the first part of your comment makes sense too, or is, commentable. Study the unbroken two-story. Because I don't know, whatever. Anyway, Joe, just do what you do.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I think what would make sense in this case is to focus the comment on the garage itself. So that study way, because it's the elevation of the garage itself that we could focus on. So if you say study ways to
study ways to appear one story at the setback line.
Say that one more time.
How about find a way to have us not screw around with your project using your garage?
Let's move on. Okay, so that's let's return to full board for prelim and final, right? When you're ready. Thank you. Sorry for all the jibber jabber. Yeah. There we go.
Good jibber jabber.
Jibber jabber. All right. Going back to item number 5, Raw Land Development Company LLC, new single family dwelling accessory structures, request of Mark Lloyd, agent for the owner's Raw Land Development to consider for prelim and final new construction of a single family dwelling and detached garage at 6210 Sunset Ridge Road, last heard June 2nd. And I think this is the one we just had one comment for. Your name for the record, sir?
My name is Mark Lloyd, L&P Consultants, representing the applicant.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Our comment last time was just says nice project, size, bulk, scale, and architectural style is appropriate. So thanks for coming in today. You want to show us any changes that were made, and then we'll.
Well, I thought what we would do is just show you the details, go through those quickly and wrap it up. So thank you very much.
Nothing else changed site planning wise, anything like that. Okay, thanks.
Paul Robeson with Appleton Partners. So based on the feedback we received from the board, we developed in alignment with the previous design. You'll see in this updated set that we have expanded to include site details, door and window details, roof details and foundation, as well as a full landscape package. So if you want to just flip through the set, the floor plan configuration is the same as the last time we presented. So got stone stairs and risers. This is pretty much the same configuration we presented previously. Elevations are the same as we presented the last time to the board. And then moving through here, we've got the next sheet is in the building section. And then we developed door and window details. Got steel doors on the exterior, some plank doors to the garage, and some of these secondary exterior doors. You can move through these. Just showing how the plaster wraps in at the openings. And then the next sheet should be the corresponding window details. We've got foundation details. We have plaster exterior walls, clay tile roof. And in addition to this, we also did submit a color board, so we can look at that for more information on those selections. There's the clay tile roof. It's a Redland blend. We do have some wood beams and trim. We've got lower right-hand corner shows, we're matching a plaster finish elsewhere for the ranch buildings near this property. Got copper downspouts and gutters. You'll see the steel doors. And then we have a Cherokee Creek flagstone for the hardscapes. And then if you want to return to the set, at the end of the package, we do go into lighting, which really what you want to look at is here the landscape set. So we've got olive trees. We have some western redbud, lavender. We have some dwarf Cairo and hawthorn. Our development envelope is pretty tight to the building, so all of our planting here is immediately around the building footprint.
The avocado orchards all on the outside of that.
Yeah, you'll see the rows of the avocados as they approach the perimeter of the building. So it's kind of nestled in among the avocados. And then the remaining sheets are on
Great. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Questions from the board?
Are the light fixtures, are the bulbs up in the top? Yeah.
Are you not able to plant outside of the development envelope there? Any planting?
Any other questions? No? Okay, there's no one here from the public, so no public comment and comments from the board, please. I think this was here for what? Final, right? Final approval?
Correct.
Okay. Anyone have comments or want to make a motion?
Is the exterior paving identified? Yeah, paving.
It's Cherokee.
I just seeing where it was on the plan.
Well, if there aren't any other comments, I'd make a motion for preliminary and final as submitted.
I'll second.
Good.
I think it's already has preliminary. No, you're right. Okay, prelim and final. And you seconded?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in,
Motion went from nice to great. Yeah, upgrade them.
all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks for being so organized, guys. That's great.
And that
Motion to
concludes
adjourn.
the S-Bar meeting of,
Actually, we still have
17.
consideration of the September 22nd minutes.
Okay.
We still have the September 22nd minutes. Now that we have Robert, John, Chris, and
you're home free.
Josh here, we can approve these minutes now.
So.
Oh, Kaylee, I'm sorry.
Closed it,
Yeah.
really? I did. So we're gonna reopen the meeting and review the minutes from September 22nd, now that we have a quorum for that.
Mr. Chair, I
Yes,
think
sir.
we reviewed the content of these minutes in the October 6th meeting. I believe it's Robert that's the only one that has to review the minutes and approve them.
Okay. So we can basically revert back and say we reviewed them and we just need to make a motion
Exactly.
to approve.
Now that we
So,
have Robert here.
Robert, you want to take a quick look and then,
All right, nothing jumps out at me, so I,
okay, so you want to make a motion to approve
we'll
those?
make a motion to approve the minutes
I'll
as you previously reviewed at the other meeting.
Okay, second by Ms. Grubb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Well, abstains.
Okay, great. Motion passes and now we will adjourn. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thanksgiving.